So, this video is about how to do or become anything you want. And you have to understand this life, we was put here with only one chance in mind. And the last thing you would ever want in this life is to have any sort of regrets, especially when making that decision or doing that thing is so easy to do. And I say it easy to do because the only thing that has hold you back 90% of the time is yourself. And being in control of yourself is one of the easiest and hardest things you could ever do in this life. But that's a topic for another day. Um, but I have 5 things here for 5 steps on how to do or become anything you want. And the first thing is to understand or to find out why it is you want to do that or become that. That is the most important thing. And another thing that's also important is to be honest with yourself, no matter how fucked up or how crazy or how selfish it might sound. I mean, you might want to become rich, and the reason why you want to become rich is to show off on your friends or to show off on people or to show people that you're better than them. And listen, that might be okay for you. You know, at the end of the day, you just need to be honest with yourself as to that is exactly the reason why you want to become rich, or you might want to become a doctor, and the reason is to help people, and that's completely okay. As long as you be honest with yourself and be truthful to yourself, don't lie to yourself, right? So the next thing is to understand how simple it is. And when I say how simple it is, I mean how simple it is to make the decision to do that or become that, and that could be done within 5 seconds. All you need to say is, I want to become rich. And that's it. You made the decision. Simple as that. People have made the decision 5 times, 10 times, 20 times. It don't matter how much times you make the decision because you would make the decision 100 or 1,000 times in this lifetime before you actually become or do that thing. But you need to make that decision. I need to understand how simple it is because people get so caught up in the details on how they actually going to become that or do that or achieve that goal. And before they even reach there, they should make the decision to achieve the goal in the first place. Because what has ended up happening is that people would say, I want to become a technician. Or people would see this a cool mechanism or a fast car and be like, hey, who made this car? Or this guy invented that. You know what? I want to be an engineer. And then they would be like, how to be an engineer? And the parents would be like, well, you had to go to school for 5 years and you had to take this exam and it cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to take the test. And you'd be like, what? Nah, 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 that's too much. Why I can't do all of that? And right then and there, they just decided that they don't want to be an engineer based on the how. And they completely just ignored the why, or they never even solidified the why, right? Because they wanted to become an engineer because they saw something cool and they want to build something cool, you know? But I believe that these steps, you need to complete these steps in this order in order to really achieve it. And if you skip steps, then sometimes you run into a problem. And I think that is what happened right there with the child, is that they didn't follow the second step, which is understanding how simple it is, right? So that's that. And third on the list is to make sure your expectations are in check. And this goes on to the same analogy with the child, where the parent was telling the child, you need to study for 5 years and do this exam and cost all this money. And you need to, when you hear all this information, is to put it in line with your expectations and ask yourself if you are okay with this. Right? So let me go back a bit, right? For example, let me say you want to become a lawyer. Well, first you need to understand why you want to become a lawyer. All right? You might have seen some sort of injustice take place and the legal system just fuck up that person and was a disgrace and let them down, and you gave yourself the task to never let someone else go through that in your presence. So you want to become a lawyer to help people. All right? That's a solid why. Okay? Next, you need to understand how simple it is. So that day you sit down with yourself and say, you know what, I want to become a lawyer. I'm going to become a lawyer. No matter what it takes, this is my purpose in life, to become a lawyer. All right? And you say it and you mean it. And next, you have to make sure your expectations in check. Now, this step is a little research you need to do, or the R&R, speak with a lawyer. Ask them how or what is the process to become a lawyer. Or ask them what it's like being a lawyer. You know? Based off of this information, you need to understand that this is the reality of the job, because you're not asking, let me say, somebody who's not aware. You're asking people who actually in the field, and reaching out to people who actually in those field or do anything that you're doing is just way simpler than they actually think. Right? You want to talk to a lawyer, you don't know any lawyers, search on Google for lawyers to hire and pretend you go and hire them and just ask them a few questions. Simple as that. Same thing with doctors, same thing with business owners, same thing with everything. People love to give information, right? So you speak with a lawyer and you ask the lawyer, what it's like doing this job on a day-to-day basis. Ask them all the questions you need to ask them, make sure and write it down where you want to ask them beforehand, and get the information and set your expectations, because the last thing you want is going into this thing or becoming this person with the wrong expectations. You might be planning to be a business owner, and you thinking a business owner just sit down and collect passive income, without doing anything. And when you actually become a business owner, you're working from 6 in the morning to 6 in the night, 6 in the morning to 10 in the night, and your expectations off, and now you just feel unfulfilled. You feel robbed. You feel like it was a lie when in reality your expectations was just way off. You know. So after you speak with who you need to speak to, or you get the relevant information, you need to educate yourself, right? And this is the longest phase of the process. All right. Now we're living in a time where educating yourself on basically anything is so easy with AI and the internet. Everybody is a genius. And it's simple as just going on ChatGPT and ask how to become a lawyer. Or you could go even in depth and you type in how to become a lawyer when I'm in XYZ position. And XYZ position is your current position in life right now. So it might be how to become, oh, I want to become a lawyer. I currently live with my parents and I am 21 years old. I have a job in a grocery and I make $18 an hour. I have no prior education. Simple. ChatGPT going and give you one long ass detailed plan. And all you need to do is to read, comprehend, understand, you know, do some more research, right? Um, ChatGPT will give you the plan, but before you even start on the plan, you need to know where the plan going to take you. You understand? Because you don't want to sign up for a course and then to become that thing, you can only find the next level of the course in some particular country, and then now you have to get a visa and the whole. So you really and truly educate yourself on what it is you're really about to embark on. This journey. Understand how long it would take. You know, and yeah. And last but not last and least of all is just to execute. You already had a plan. You already have the why. You already know how simple it is, how easy it is. Your expectations in check. You know exactly what to expect from this, and you're educated. You know exactly what is the next step. All you need to do is execute. It's simple. All right. So your goal is to become a school teacher, and you're currently living at home with your parents. Is 25, and you have a job in a factory. So your time limited. And say that how to become a teacher, you need to have a bachelor's degree in whatever subject you want to teach. All right. So your first step is to educate yourself to get certification. All right. Maybe you need some passes to even get to sign up for the bachelor. So you get those passes. Okay, you don't have any time to do those classes. See if you have night classes. All right. And you don't have any time. You don't have no night classes. All right. And the time that the classes is the time that you just be working. Find the next fucking job. And I'm saying that like if it's so easy, you can just find the next job. I'm not saying that's easy, but at the end of the day, these are the things that are going to separate the ones who want to do something and the ones who going to do something. But at least now you have the formula and you know exactly how to achieve and do or become anything you really want in this life.